Today, we're exposing the most devastating, accurate, and flat-out unstoppable long-range rifles that ruled the American frontier. These aren't just the usual suspects you've heard about 1,000 times. We're uncovering weapons so precise, so powerful, they could decide a man's fate from distances that seemed impossible, turning ordinary settlers into feared marksmen, and making the open plains a deadly shooting gallery, where one well-placed shot meant the difference between survival and a shallow grave. Get ready, because some of these long-range killers will completely rewrite what you thought you knew about frontier marksmanship. Number 20. The Rolling Block Sporting Rifle, the civilian sharpshooter's choice. Picture yourself as a settler, facing threats across wide-open territory, needing a rifle that could reach out and touch targets at distances where most firearms became useless. The Rolling Block Sporting Rifle gave ordinary frontiersmen the kind of precision and power previously reserved for military sharpshooters. Built on Remington's proven rolling block action, this civilian variant transformed the military's battlefield workhorse into a gentleman's hunting and defense weapon. What made the rolling block special was its brutal simplicity, combined with surprising accuracy. The massive breech block locked up tighter than a bank vault, creating a rigid platform that squeezed every bit of precision from each cartridge. Chambered in calibers ranging from .40-70 to .50-70, it delivered bone-crushing power at extended ranges, while maintaining the reliability that kept soldiers alive in combat. Frontier settlers trusted the rolling block because it simply refused to fail. Whether hunting elk in the Rockies or defending homesteads from long-range threats, its single-shot design forced shooters to make every round count. But that same single-shot action was also its greatest weakness. Against repeating rifles, rolling block users needed nerves of steel and perfect shot placement. Number 19. The Winchester Model, 1876, Teddy Roosevelt's big game beast. Imagine holding a rifle powerful enough to drop a grizzly bear at 300 yards, yet fast enough to work its lever action for follow-up shots before your target even hit the ground. The Winchester Model 1876 wasn't just another lever gun. It was Winchester's answer to hunters and frontiersmen who demanded more stopping power than the legendary 1873 could deliver. Teddy Roosevelt himself carried a Model 1876 during his Dakota Territory ranching days, chambered in .45-75 Winchester. That endorsement from one of America's most famous hunters elevated the rifle to legendary status. The 1876 could chamber significantly more powerful cartridges than its predecessor, making it the go-to choice for anyone facing dangerous game or needing to reach out beyond typical lever action distances. The rifle's extra length and strength came from a beefed-up action and receiver, designed to handle the increased pressure of larger rounds. Professional hunters praised its ability to deliver rapid, powerful fire at ranges where other lever actions fell short. But the 1876's power came with trade-offs. It was heavier, more expensive, and its ammunition wasn't as readily available as the ubiquitous .44-40. Still, for those needing lever-action speed with rifle-caliber power, the 1876 stood alone. Number 18. The Marlin Model, 1881, Winchester's nightmare competitor. What happens when Winchester's chief competitor decides to build a lever-action rifle specifically to steal their customers? You get the Marlin Model 1881, a rifle so well designed it gave the mighty Winchester Company genuine nightmares. Marlin wasn't content to simply copy Winchester's success. They engineered a rifle that addressed many of the 1876's shortcomings, while delivering comparable long-range performance. The 1881's top ejection system meant shooters could mount scopes or sights directly over the receiver, something Winchester's side ejection made difficult. This seemingly small feature gave Marlin rifles a significant accuracy advantage for long-range work. Chambered in powerful calibers like .45-70 Government, the 1881 could reach out to 400 yards with authority, dropping elk, buffalo, or hostile threats with equal efficiency. Cowboys and hunters appreciated the Marlin's solid construction and smooth lever throw. Its two-piece firing pin was less prone to breakage than Winchester's design, a crucial reliability factor when you were days from the nearest gunsmith. However, the 1881 never achieved the cultural status of Winchester rifles. Despite its technical superiority in some areas, Winchester's marketing and name recognition kept the Marlin as the underdog's choice, favored by those who knew quality over brand loyalty. Number 17. The Ballard rifle, the target shooter's dream picture. A rifle so accurate it could split playing cards at 200 yards, so precisely engineered that wealthy marksmen paid small fortunes to own one. The Ballard rifle wasn't designed for rapid fire or cavalry charges. It was built for one purpose: delivering impossible accuracy at distances where other rifles merely hoped for hits. In the hands of a skilled shooter, the Ballard transformed long-range shooting from guesswork into precision science. The Ballard's falling block action was a masterpiece of 19th century engineering. Its single-shot design forced shooters to slow down and make every round count, but that deliberate pace rewarded them with accuracy that left repeating rifles in the dust. Competition shooters at Creedmoor and other long-range matches made the Ballard famous by consistently hitting targets at 800, 900, even 1,000 yards. Chambered in various long-range cartridges, including 40-65, 40-90, and 45-70, the Ballard could be custom-ordered with heavy octagonal barrels, precision sights, and set triggers that broke like glass rods. Frontiersmen who purchased Ballards were investing in a tool for hunting at extreme distances or for impressing fellow marksmen at shooting competitions. But in real gunfights, its slow single-shot action could prove fatal. The Ballard was a rifle for the patient marksman, not the desperate fighter. Number 16. The Spencer Model, 1865, post-war surplus domination. Imagine walking into a frontier trading post in 1866 and finding cutting-edge military repeating rifles selling for a fraction of their wartime cost. The Spencer Model 1865 represented the last evolution of the famous Civil War repeater, and after the war ended, thousands flooded into civilian hands as military surplus. Cowboys, settlers, and frontiersmen suddenly had access to reliable repeating firepower that had proven itself on history's bloodiest battlefields. The 1865 model addressed many weaknesses of earlier Spencer rifles. Its improved cartridge offered better long-range performance, though it still couldn't match dedicated buffalo guns for distance. What the Spencer offered instead was repeating fire at respectable ranges, allowing shooters to engage multiple targets or follow up missed shots without the vulnerability of reloading. At ranges up to 300 yards, a Spencer-armed rider could lay down suppressing fire that kept enemies pinned while positioning for better shots. The psychological advantage of facing someone with a Spencer was significant. Opponents knew that single-shot misses wouldn't save them. However, as more powerful single-shot rifles and Winchester lever actions proliferated, the Spencer's rimfire ammunition and limited range made it increasingly obsolete. By the late 1870s, it was considered an outdated relic, though plenty of budget-conscious settlers still carried them well into the 1880s. Number 15. The Remington Hepburn, the perfectionist's precision rifle. What do you get when Remington's engineers set out to build the most accurate, single-shot rifle ever made? You get the Remington Hepburn, a rifle so precisely manufactured that competitive shooters and wealthy hunters considered it the ultimate expression of long-range accuracy. This wasn't a working cowboy's gun. It was a precision instrument for those who demanded perfection. The Hepburn's falling block action operated with watch-like precision. Every surface was hand-fitted, every tolerance measured to microscopic standards. When properly loaded with match-grade ammunition, a Hepburn rifle could group shots inside 6 inches at 500 yards. Performance that seemed like sorcery to most frontier shooters. Military rifle teams adopted Hepburn rifles for long-range competitions, where they dominated against international competitors. Chambered in powerful cartridges like 40-65, 40-90, and 44-90, the Hepburn delivered the heavy bullets needed for bucking prairie winds at extreme distances. Its double-set triggers allowed for hair-trigger accuracy, while heavy octagonal barrels provided the stability required for consistent precision. But this perfection came at a steep price. Hepburn rifles cost 3 to 4 times what a working Winchester commanded. Most were custom ordered and took months to deliver. For the rare frontiersman who could afford one, it was the ultimate trophy and tool. Number 14. The Winchester High Wall, single-shot powerhouse. Imagine a rifle strong enough to safely fire cartridges that would destroy lesser guns, accurate enough to take game at distances where most hunters gave up, yet simple enough that any frontier gunsmith could maintain it. The Winchester High Wall, based on John Browning's falling block design, gave shooters a platform capable of handling the most powerful black powder cartridges of the era, without the complexity of other precision rifles. The High Wall's massive action walls were built like a fortress, capable of containing pressures that made other single shots nervous. This allowed it to chamber absolute monsters like 45-110, 45-120, and even 50-110 Express. Buffalo hunters and professional meat shooters loaded these cartridges with enough black powder to send heavy lead projectiles screaming downrange with authority that translated to clean kills at 500-plus yards. What set the High Wall apart was its accessibility. While rifles like the Ballard and Hepburn required custom ordering and deep pockets, Winchester produced high walls in volume at prices working cowboys could eventually afford. Its straightforward design meant repairs could be handled by frontier gunsmiths rather than requiring factory service. However, that single-shot action remained its Achilles heel. In situations requiring rapid fire, high-wall shooters needed to rely on accuracy and shot placement rather than volume of fire. Number 13. The Sharps Borchardt, evolution of the Buffalo gun picture. The legendary Sharps rifle, already the undisputed king of the Buffalo ranges, evolved into something even more advanced. The Sharps Borchardt represented Hugo Borchardt's attempt to modernize the classic falling block design with a hammerless action that was faster to operate and less prone to weather interference. For a brief moment in the late 1870s, it looked like the future of single-shot rifles. The Borchardt's internal hammer system eliminated the external hammer that could snag on clothing or collect moisture and debris. Its firing mechanism operated smoothly and reliably, allowing experienced shooters to reload and fire faster than traditional Sharps rifles. Chambered in powerful long-range cartridges, including 45-70 and proprietary Sharps rounds, it maintained the accuracy and power that made Sharps rifles legendary. Professional hunters who got their hands on Borchardt models appreciated the sleeker profile and improved weather resistance. The lack of an external hammer made it easier to carry in saddle scabbards without snagging. But the Sharps Borchardt's timing proved unfortunate. By the time it reached market, the buffalo herds were nearly extinct, and repeating rifles were dominating the frontier market. Despite its technical advantages, it never achieved the legendary status of earlier Sharps models. Today, it stands as a fascinating what-if in firearms evolution. Number 12. The Springfield Trapdoor Carbine, Cavalry's Compromise. What happens when the U.S. Army takes its full-length infantry rifle and chops it down for mounted troops? You get the Springfield Trapdoor Carbine, a shortened version of the standard trapdoor that prioritized maneuverability over long-range precision. While infantry could reach out to 500-plus yards with their full-length rifles, cavalrymen accepted reduced range in exchange for a weapon they could actually handle from horseback. The carbine's 22-inch barrel, compared to the rifle's 32 inches, made it dramatically easier to draw from a saddle scabbard and wield while controlling a horse. Cavalry troopers in the Indian Wars relied on these carbines during mounted engagements and dismounted skirmishes alike. Chambered in the powerful 45-70 government cartridge, it still delivered serious stopping power, even if maximum effective range dropped to around 300 yards. After military service, thousands of surplus carbines flooded the civilian market. Cowboys appreciated their compact size and government-grade reliability. The carbine worked perfectly for riders who needed to defend against threats at moderate ranges, without the bulk of full-length rifles. However, in situations requiring extreme long-range precision, carbine owners found themselves outgunned by dedicated buffalo rifles and target guns. The Springfield Trapdoor Carbine represented a practical compromise, sacrificing long-range supremacy for all-around utility. Number 11. The Colt Burgess Rifle, Colt's lever-action gamble. Imagine Colt, the undisputed king of revolvers, deciding to challenge Winchester's lever-action dominance on their home turf. The Colt Burgess rifle was that audacious challenge, a smoothly operating lever action that many shooters considered mechanically superior to Winchester's offerings. For a brief moment, it looked like Colt might actually pull off the impossible and steal Winchester's market. The Burgess featured an innovative lever mechanism that some users found smoother and easier to operate than Winchester's toggle link system. Its action was less prone to jamming when dirty, a significant advantage in dusty frontier conditions. Chambered primarily in .44-40, the Burgess could reach out to 200 to 300 yards with respectable accuracy, matching Winchester's performance while offering slightly better ergonomics. Early adopters praised the rifle's solid construction and smooth operation. The Burgess's slide chamber system allowed for slightly faster cycling than contemporary Winchesters, giving skilled shooters a marginal edge in sustained fire. But Colt's venture into lever actions ended abruptly. According to legend, Winchester's president sent Colt a prototype revolver designed to compete in the handgun market, with a polite suggestion that perhaps each company should stick to their own specialty. Whether this story is true or not, Colt soon discontinued the Burgess. Today it remains a fascinating footnote, a glimpse of what might have been. Number 10. The Remington Keene, bolt-action pioneer picture. A bolt-action rifle on the American frontier in the 1880s, decades before bolt actions became standard military issue worldwide. The Remington Keene was exactly that, a forward-thinking design that introduced American shooters to the speed and reliability of bolt-action operation long before Springfield or Mauser made the system famous. It was innovation ahead of its time. The Keene's bolt operated smoothly and quickly, allowing for rapid follow-up shots while maintaining accuracy that rivaled single-shot rifles. Its tubular magazine held multiple rounds, typically in .45-70 or .40-60, giving shooters the advantage of repeating fire combined with precision that lever action struggled to match. The straight pull bolt design was mechanically sound, and in practiced hands, it could be cycled as fast as any lever action. Military trials gave the Keene serious consideration. Its bolt system was less prone to timing issues than lever actions, and its stronger action could theoretically handle more powerful cartridges. Some U.S. Department personnel adopted Keenes for field use, impressed by their reliability in harsh conditions. However, the rifle never achieved widespread adoption. American shooters were wedded to lever actions and single shots, viewing the bolt system as unnecessarily foreign. The Keene represented brilliant engineering that arrived before the market was ready. Within a few years, production ceased, leaving only a few thousand rifles as testament to Remington's forward thinking. Number 9. The Winchester Model, 1886, Big Game Beast. Imagine a lever-action rifle powerful enough to drop a grizzly bear or charge through a buffalo's vitals, yet smooth enough to cycle 3 aim shots in 5 seconds. The Winchester Model 1886, designed by John Moses Browning himself, represented the perfect marriage of lever-action speed and rifle caliber power. This wasn't just another Winchester. It was the rifle that proved lever actions could compete with single-shot buffalo guns for pure stopping power. The 1886's revolutionary design allowed it to safely chamber massive cartridges like .45-70 Government, .45-90, and .51-10 Express. Professional guides in Alaska, Montana, and the Pacific Northwest adopted the 1886 as their go-to defense against dangerous game. Its ability to deliver multiple powerful shots rapidly made it dramatically safer than single-shot rifles when facing wounded grizzlies or aggressive moose. Browning's genius was creating an action strong enough for rifle cartridges, while maintaining the smooth operation Winchester lever actions were famous for. The vertical locking bolt system could handle pressures that would have destroyed earlier toggle link designs. At ranges out to 300 to 400 yards, the 1886 delivered accuracy and power that equaled dedicated single-shot rifles, with the massive advantage of holding multiple rounds. However, this power came with consequences. The rifle was heavy, often exceeding 9 pounds. Its recoil, especially in the larger calibers, could be brutal. Extended shooting sessions left even experienced marksmen bruised and battered. Number 8. The Sharps 5090, Long-Range Champion. Picture yourself setting up for a shot at a buffalo standing 600 yards away. Most rifles of the 1870s would make that shot pure guesswork, but with a Sharps 50-90, you were holding a precision instrument capable of dropping that animal with mathematical certainty. The 50-90 cartridge represented Sharps' attempt to push long-range performance to its absolute limits within the constraints of black powder technology. Firing a 473-grain bullet propelled by 90 grains of black powder, the 50-90 achieved muzzle velocities around 1,300 feet per second. This combination of heavy bullet weight and respectable velocity meant the round bucked wind better than smaller, faster bullets, while delivering devastating terminal performance. Professional buffalo hunters could consistently hit vital zones at ranges approaching 800 yards, distances that seemed impossible to most frontier shooters. The psychological impact of facing a rifleman with a 50-90 was profound. Knowing that someone could reach out and kill you from half a mile away, long before you could effectively return fire, changed the dynamics of frontier conflicts. Military snipers occasionally acquired Sharps rifles in 50-90 for special operations where extreme range was required. But this performance came at a brutal cost. The rifle's recoil was punishing, capable of leaving shooters with bruised shoulders after just a dozen rounds. The massive ammunition was heavy and expensive, limiting how much a hunter could practically carry. Still, for pure long-range dominance, the 50-90 Sharps stood nearly alone. Number 7. The Springfield Officer's Model, Customized Precision. What happens when wealthy military officers take standard-issue Springfield trapdoor rifles and have them rebuilt by master gunsmiths into precision instruments? You get the Springfield Officer's Model, custom rifles that represented the ultimate evolution of the trapdoor platform. These weren't production guns. They were hand-built masterpieces that combined military reliability with target-grade accuracy. Skilled gunsmiths would completely disassemble military Springfields, then rebuild them with premium barrels, tuned actions, custom sights, and refined triggers. The result was a rifle that could group shots at 500 yards that would shame factory guns. Officers who competed in military rifle competitions commissioned these custom builds, knowing that in long-range matches, equipment quality mattered as much as shooter skill. Some of the finest gunsmiths on the frontier made their reputations customizing officers' model Springfields. They'd glass bed actions, true barrels, and install vernier peep sights capable of precise adjustments for different ranges and wind conditions. In capable hands, these rifles could compete with the finest Ballard and Hepburn target rifles at fraction of the cost. However, their customized nature was also a weakness. Replacement parts weren't standardized, and repairs required gunsmiths of similar skill to the original builders. Most officers' models remained with their original owners, treated as treasured possessions rather than working frontier tools. Number 6. The Creedmoor Sharps, Competition King. Imagine a rifle so accurate it could hit a target the size of a man's chest at 1,000 yards with boring consistency. The Creedmoor Sharps was the ultimate expression of 19th century long-range shooting technology, purpose-built for the sport of target shooting that captivated America and Britain in the 1870s and 1880s. These weren't hunting rifles. They were precision instruments designed to win competitions and set records. Named after the Creedmoor Rifle Range in New York, where international competitions drew massive crowds, Creedmoor Sharps rifles featured heavy octagonal barrels measuring 30 to 34 inches, weighing 12 to 16 pounds, and chambered in specialized cartridges like 4490 and 44105. Every component was built to target-grade specifications. Triggers broke at exactly 2 to 3 pounds with no creep. Sights featured micrometer adjustments for precise wind and distance compensation. Professional marksmen treated these rifles like racing cars, constantly refining loads and adjusting components for maximum performance. The American team that defeated the British at Creedmoor in 1874 used Sharps rifles that became instant legends, creating a boom market for high-end custom Sharps. However, their specialized nature limited practical utility. These rifles were too heavy for hunting, too delicate for frontier abuse, and chambered in cartridges most gunsmiths had never heard of. Creedmoor Sharps represented the absolute pinnacle of black powder accuracy, but only in organized competition. Number 5. The Winchester Model, 1895 Box Magazine Revolution. Picture a lever-action Winchester that could chamber the same powerful military cartridges as bolt-action rifles. The Model 1895 represented John Browning's solution to Winchester's biggest problem: how to build a lever action capable of handling modern bottleneck cartridges with pointed bullets. The result was a rifle that bridged two eras, combining traditional lever action speed with military-grade power. The 1895's revolutionary box magazine allowed it to safely chamber cartridges like .30-40 Krag and later .30-06 Springfield, rounds that would have caused catastrophic failures in tubular magazine lever actions. This opened new possibilities for long-range performance. The .30-40 Krag could reach out accurately to 500 to 600 yards, distances where older Winchester cartridges lost effectiveness. Military forces in several countries adopted the 1895, with Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders carrying them during the Spanish-American War. The rifle's combination of rapid fire and rifle caliber power made it devastating in combat. Big game hunters discovered it could handle everything from elk to elephants with equal aplomb. However, the 1895's introduction in the mid-1890s came as the frontier era was closing. Most working cowboys had already invested in earlier models or moved to bolt actions. The 1895 represented the evolutionary end of the lever action line rather than a new beginning. Still, its ability to deliver military-grade power through a lever action made it unique. Number 4. The Sharps 5140, the absolute Buffalo Destroyer. Imagine a cartridge so powerful that even the legendary Sharps Company considered it borderline excessive. The 5140 Sharps represented the absolute extreme of black powder rifle cartridge development, a round that pushed single-shot rifles to their structural limits. This wasn't practical long-range hunting. This was engineering extremism for those who demanded maximum power regardless of consequences. The 5140 launched a 700-grain bullet, using an absolutely massive 140-grain powder charge, producing muzzle energy that dwarfed almost every other sporting rifle cartridge of the era. At extended ranges, its heavy projectile retained energy and bucked wind like nothing else on the frontier. Buffalo hunters who could handle the punishment used 5140s to take animals at ranges approaching 1,000 yards, distances where other rifles merely wounded. But the dizzy 5140 came with brutal consequences. Each shot produced recoil that could literally knock men backwards. The massive powder charge created a cloud of smoke that obscured vision and revealed the shooter's position. Barrels heated rapidly, affecting accuracy after just a few shots. Ammunition was extraordinarily expensive and heavy, limiting how much a hunter could carry. Most frontier shooters considered the 5140 unnecessarily extreme, opting for the more manageable 5090 instead. But for those few individuals who wanted absolute maximum power, nothing else compared. Number 3. The Whitworth Military Rifle. Sniper's Nightmare returns. When most people picture a buffalo hunter on the Great Plains, they're imagining a bearded man in a buffalo coat, lying prone behind a Sharps Model 1874. This rifle didn't just become popular among buffalo hunters. It virtually defined the profession, becoming so synonymous with long-range hunting that it's still called a buffalo gun more than a century after the herds vanished. The 1874 represented the absolute peak of Sharps rifle evolution. Compared to earlier models, it refined every aspect. Its falling block action was stronger and smoother. The trigger broke crisper. The barrel fitted tighter. Every improvement enhanced accuracy and reliability. Professional hunters could order them in calibers from .40-70 to .50-90, with barrel lengths from 26 to 34 inches, allowing perfect customization. What made it legendary was its perfect balance of power, accuracy, and reliability. A skilled shooter with a properly sighted 1874 could consistently hit buffalo vital zones at 400 to 600 yards, dropping animals before the herd even knew they were under attack. This surgical precision allowed single hunters to kill dozens without spooking the herd. The rifle's reputation for reliability meant hunters could trust it when other rifles failed. Dust, rain, extreme cold, it simply kept functioning. Its simple design meant field repairs were possible with basic tools. However, its single-shot action meant reloading under pressure was slow. Still, for pure long-range hunting excellence, the Sharps 1874 has never been surpassed. Number 2, the Sharps Model, 1874, the definitive buffalo rifle. When most people picture a buffalo hunter on the Great Plains, they're imagining a bearded man in a buffalo coat, lying prone behind a Sharps Model 1874. This rifle didn't just become popular among buffalo hunters, it virtually defined the profession, becoming so synonymous with long-range hunting that it's still called a buffalo gun more than a century after the herds vanished. The 1874 represented the absolute peak of Sharps rifle evolution. Compared to earlier models, it refined every aspect. Its falling block action was stronger and smoother. The trigger broke crisper. The barrel fitted tighter. Professional hunters could order them in calibers from 40-70 to 50-90, with barrel lengths from 26 to 34 inches, allowing perfect customization. What made it legendary was its perfect balance of power, accuracy, and reliability. A skilled shooter with a properly sighted 1874 could consistently hit buffalo vital zones at 400 to 600 yards, dropping animals before the herd even knew they were under attack. This surgical precision allowed single hunters to kill dozens without spooking the herd. The rifle's reputation for reliability meant hunters could trust it when other rifles failed. Dust, rain, extreme cold, it simply kept functioning. However, its single-shot action meant reloading under pressure was slow. Still, for pure long-range hunting excellence, the Sharps 1874 has never been surpassed. Number 1. The Sharps Big 50 and 50-90, Ultimate Long-Range Domination. The deadliest long-range rifle of the Wild West wasn't defined by a single model, but by a specific caliber that represented the absolute pinnacle of frontier long-range capability, the Sharps Big 50 in 50-90 chambering. When you combine Sharps' proven Model 1874 action with the devastating 50-90 cartridge and mounted it with premium sights in the hands of a professional marksman, you created the ultimate long-range killing system. This combination sat at number 1 because it represented perfection within its era's technological constraints. The 50-90 cartridge pushed a heavy 473-grain bullet to effective velocities while maintaining accuracy out to and beyond 800 yards. The Sharps 1874 action provided the rigid platform needed to extract every bit of accuracy from each carefully loaded cartridge. Together, they created a system that dominated the frontier's longest-range shooting challenges. Professional buffalo hunters with Big 50 Sharps rifles literally reshaped the American landscape, harvesting millions of buffalo with surgical precision from distances the animals couldn't comprehend. Military snipers who acquired these rifles could eliminate targets at ranges where returning fire was impossible. Frontier marksmen who mastered the Big 50 earned reputations that preceded them, their rifles commanding both respect and fear. Conclusion: the psychological dominance of the Big 50 was as important as its ballistic performance. Knowing someone was out there with a rifle capable of killing you from half a mile away, long before you could see or hear them, fundamentally changed how people operated on the open plains. It was the ultimate force multiplier, turning one skilled shooter into a tactical nightmare. What truly set the Big 50 apart was its proven track record. These weren't experimental rifles or unproven designs. They were battle-tested, field-proven weapons that had earned their reputation through decades of reliable service in the harshest conditions imaginable. When a man's life depended on making a single shot at extreme distance, the Sharps Big 50 was the rifle he wanted in his hands. From the accessibility of the rolling block, to the competition perfection of the Creedmoor Sharps, to the ultimate dominance of the Big 50, long-range rifles didn't just arm the frontier. They gave skilled shooters the power to control vast stretches of territory through sheer marksmanship. Each design reflected a different philosophy: raw power, mechanical innovation, competition accuracy, or all-around reliability. These weren't just firearms. They were the tools that turned ordinary men into legends and made the open plains a proving ground where skill and equipment determined who survived and who became another grave marker in forgotten territory. In the unforgiving world of the Wild West, your long-range rifle wasn't just a tool. It was the difference between controlling your destiny and being at the mercy of those who could reach out and touch you from distances you couldn't comprehend. So which of these long-range killers surprised you most? Did you realize the frontier offered such devastating precision at extreme distances? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from fellow history enthusiasts who appreciate these forgotten masterpieces. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into frontier marksmanship, subscribe for more journeys through the weapons and warriors who shaped America's most dangerous era. Until next time, keep exploring the truth behind the legends.